Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is Sunday morning in the wake of another draw. Justin City took a 0-0 to Dallas here at City Park this past evening, and we have now equaled our draws total from all of last year in just 7 matches, right? Yes. No, yeah, 6 matches, 7 matches. It's all beginning to blur to me, the amount of draws that we've had. It sucks, man, just to keep having to grind these out, but not getting in as many points as we should be for them. So it's been a really frustrating opening to the campaign. Justin, do you have any initial takes, reactions after what you witnessed last night?
I made the right choice by skipping the City game and going to the Battlehawks game. That's all I got. 40,000 plus in the Battlehawks game. What is that? Almost double what we had at City. We at least got a dub, exciting walk-off field goal. I was streaming the City game. I wasn't missing anything.
I hear you. Well, let's get into the game. Let's start with some of the initial things that we saw with this team. And one of the things that I'd be remiss if I didn't start with is the starting 11. And the starting 11 featured Roman Berkey, Thomas Totland, Parker, Yarrow, Marcanic. Marcanic keeping his place in the left back spot. I think we predicted he'd fall out with Dewar coming in, but Dewar didn't even make the bench. So I'm not sure if that was precautionary, if that was what have you, but he wasn't even available for selection. Blum and Ostrak were the ones in the middle, and then Alm, AZ, Indy were the three up top underneath Klaus. So it was quite a lineup, and I was actually pretty happy for it. I know that was different from what we predicted in our preview show, but definitely a welcome one. And I think it's getting the most out of Klaus, and it's great to see Alm get the start again. But you saw him pulled right at half, probably a fitness reason, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the starting 11. I was just looking at Jake, just looking at standings real quick. If we would have won that, I mean, now we're in 10th in the West. If we would have won that game, we would have been tied for 5th. So it's still, for anybody that's like extremely worried with the amount of ties, at least we are getting points out of this. We talked about that. We could have easily been where Dallas is, who is 13th in the West with just 4 points. And if you put that in the entire table of the MLS, they are third to last. The only team that tied for second to last. The only team they're above is San Jose. But I will say for that, Jake, let's all calm down. I know that you and I both expected 6 points out of this home stretch real quick, just with Dallas and Austin. If we come out here with 4, I'm content. But now we really are putting all our eggs in one basket in the Austin game.
Yeah, we are. I'm just getting some initial comments. Eric said he really wanted Celio over AZ. I 100% agree. I think Indy should be playing centrally instead of AZ at this point. And it's nothing. I don't think AZ is crap. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's never going to pan out. I just think that what we saw from him last season was the reverse, where he came into the team slowly, integrated over time. He was off the bench. Cameos got longer. Then eventually he seized that starting position that we saw him ride until the end of the season. This season, he's already had that to begin with, and I do not think that he's necessarily played himself into that role necessarily. So I am one where I love AZ, but tough love is needed in this situation for me. And I think tough love means, hey, man, this isn't anything indicative of what you're going to go through in the future or what we think of you, but the form just isn't doing it for us for these starting positions that you keep holding on to. So we got to try new guys, and I think he's got to come off the bench.
Jake, I know the next section you have on the doc here for us is hot takes. I have a real hot take real quick. The subs that occurred in the 73rd, that was Sam Adinran on for AZ, fine, but hot take, Sam Stock is continuing to drop. This is leading more and more towards my conversation, man. The man's not doing anything. Other hot take, what the hell are we doing bringing Blum on in the 73rd for Indy? Are we trying to park the bus and try to get a point at that point? Because there's no reason to be bringing on Blum unless you're only trying to park the bus. That man has scored 1 goal in, I think, his entire professional career that we talked about last year, or when he had that absolute banger. What are you doing bringing him on instead for Indy? I don't understand that whatsoever.
It was
give
me
Thor, give me Kojima. I don't care. Even give me a Akil Watts at this point. But what are you doing bringing on Blum?
I think so. Let me go back to your first point. Adinaran actually played well in the time that he was on. It wasn't like the last match where he subbed in and you didn't see any service. I think he actually played himself well in that cameo. He had a couple good chances, but again, finishing, which we'll get to, was awful, not just on him, but also on Klaus and others. And then the second thing you said, I agree with the general theme of that sub. It's weird because I think Indy was just gassed, so they were putting on another midfielder. But I think you want to see Carnell go more for it and kind of go for the jugular and get the 3 points here versus just kind of do it actually was more of an offense for defense type of sub.
Yeah, it obviously was. There's nothing that Blum brings offensively, in my opinion. Dude, the man is there to literally – he's an incredible defender for us, but he's there to literally make sure that he stops the run of play before it gets to our defense. He's not doing anything. Once Blum gets the ball at his feet, I am not sitting on the edge of my seat like Celio does. If anything, I'm leaning back.
Yeah.
I'm leaning back like, oh, now we're comfortable. We have the ball. We'll get a goal in the next 5 minutes. But there's nothing exciting with Blum going forward, and I don't like that. And just FYI, Dewyer did make the bench. Dewyer was on the bench. I would have even taken Dewyer.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't see him.
Yep, Dewyer was on the bench. So the bench was Adeniran, Blum, Dewyer, Hebert, Kojima, Celio, Thor, Watts, and Lund. Honestly, Jay, give me Ben Lund. Give me a 7-footer dude just running around out there instead of what we're – at least he could probably provide some kind of offensive power like a corner kick. Blum's not even doing that. So I really don't understand that. Doing that sub at home, we've had so many ties. Carnell, that was a weak move.
That's what happens when I trust Apple. Apple, when they run across the subs on the bottom of the screen when the game gets started, I didn't see Dewyer. So I'm like, oh, I guess he didn't make the bench. So I got to do my vetting.
I'm on ESPN, and then I had to do a quick check. I just go to the team's Instagram real quick, and that's the only way that I truly trust it because hopefully they're not getting it wrong. But Carnell got it wrong, so maybe I shouldn't be trusting whatever the team puts out there.
I also will call myself out. I missaid that Blum started the game. Obviously, you said he came on in the 73rd. It was Durkin that played next to Ostrak, which I can't wait to get to Ostrak because I loved what I saw from him last night. But before we get into that, let's jump into some of the highlights from the first half last night. And we're going to start with Ostrak and a full team highlight here with the press. The first minute, you saw the intensity, the efficiency of our press. Excellent pickoff pass from Ostrak. We earned a corner. The corner was played into AZ on the near post. You flicked it to the far post. That you just see that goal get scored so many times across all different types of leagues. That flick header to the back post for someone just to get something onto. No one was there, unfortunately. In the 14th minute, we saw Berkey come alive. It was a big game from Berkey last night. We are not getting that clean sheet without Roman Berkey, specifically him in between the sticks for us. He had a great save. A ball was played in behind, and Yarrow had the better position on his man, but was caught between two minds of, do I dribble this one out of pressure? Do I just hack it away and clear it? And obviously it got stuck under him, and it resulted in a great chance for Dallas. And Berkey was able to parry this one over the bar. So it was the first of many great saves from Berkey last night.
He had 5 total saves, which were all very necessary. I would say probably at least 3 or 4 of them were very well hit from FC Dallas. So big props to Berkey. We'll get into actual player ratings. But there was one that I want to talk real quick, Jake, and I'm going to call it a low light, actually. It was a free kick in from Indy. It was on the 22nd minute, I believe. And it was into them. And it gets like knocked down, kind of scattered around a little bit. And then you have Klaus, who turns and tries to hit a shot without looking at the goal, thinking that he's the dude from Real Salt Lake last game, skies it into the 200s. And then he tries to claim that it got tipped because of how poorly he hit it. And that was really frustrating for me. I need him to get back on his horse, and I do not know what's going on.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like it's only going to get worse as we go through these highlights and lowlights. But the next thing I had in here, the 29th minute, was a great highlight from Berkey. Well-struck free kick, a save that he should make, but curling up and around the wall, and he parries this one out of danger. That was a great save. 35th minute, we had a great chance. I think one of the best chances of our first half after some excellent buildup. Obviously, Dallas is playing so compact in their final third. I mean, basically a low block for the entirety of this game. So it was our kryptonite. But we were able to work it around kind of from side to side, and we get it to Ostrak, who plays Totland through on the goal line. A great through ball cutting through or breaking the lines, really, of their compact lines in their third. And Totland floated in from Arcanic, who was wide open on the back post, but he hit it wide. That was got to have been, I think, his first goal for us as well. It would have been. So that was unfortunate. We had another kind of final 2 things I want to call, Justin, before going to the second half around. There was a long ball diagonal into Alm, who, just with his quality, when you're getting that long ball, 30, 40 yards, and it's floating up in the air and you're going to get on the end of it, technical ability it takes to then cross that on the one-time volley. It was crossed into Klaus, but Omar Gonzalez was there for the clearance. It was a great opportunity. I think if he doesn't get a touch on that, Klaus buries that. At least you would hope so. And then finally, right in the dying minutes of the first half, where there was a failed clearance, and Ostrak got to take the heat check because he had himself a hell of a first half. Just curls one over the bar, just barely over the bar, in what looked to be a highlight reel goal if that would have gone in.
The only thing I'll say, that curler just barely missed. I think it even hit the top netting on this way down, just over the top. That was I would say, even reversing back to what you said, it was the 35th minute. That hit by Marcanic, which that would have been his first official goal. I remember doing our preview for FC Dallas. He technically celebrated last season when we scored against Dallas, but it was an own goal. So I think it would have been his first official goal for us, but it was a great hit by him. I think it was a good slot in for Tolan. And he sends a little bit of a blooper over into the back post almost. And it was from outside, it was towards the edge of the 18, just outside of the PK spot. And it was a great one-time hit from Marcanic, and that would have been an awesome goal. But again, Jake, I would say some of the goals that we had for the game, no pun intended, was to score a goal in the first half. Didn't happen. Keep a clean sheet. Good job. Fine. We didn't bet it because the odds weren't great. We'll talk about the bets later. I did not do very well on the day as a whole. Being at Fast Eddie's was not helpful for being able to just throw bets around while consuming shrimp. But I thought it was a fine first half. We had a lot of good chances, and it would have been way better if we actually just put one away. And if we put one away in the first half, Jake, this game could have ended up 3-4-0.
Oh, well, this game could have been 3-4-0, even in the second half. But I totally agree with you. This is one you just needed to blow the doors open, because then Dallas would have to open up, come to actually play instead of play how they did. I mean, at times, I don't even know why they even started a couple of attackers. They had zero presence moving forward in the slightest. It was my hot take for this game, actually, despite the result. This was the most dominant on the ball I've ever seen this team, and of any game so far in our franchise history. And it sucks the result happened the way that it did, because you look at the chances. Dallas had a couple. There was some counters. There were some set pieces. There was an offside goal that was ruled back. But we had them by the scruff of the neck for almost the entire match. And you've got to stop playing with your food. You've got to just stick the knife through the heart there, man. It's just, you got to find it when you're this team and you just need wins. Someone's got to dig deep and just pump this in the back of the net.
Jake, that was probably one of the just not even purposeful dad comments you've ever made of, you got to stop playing with your food. I can literally see you telling Will this within an hour after this episode goes live. Yep. That's hilarious. But I will say, I know. And I'm gonna do it right now, Jake. I'm gonna jump over these first two highlights. I'm gonna let you take those. But the one that I want to talk about, the first thing that I remember in the second half, is Roman Berkey keeping us in this game. Sebastian Lletget gets a little slotted ball through. Roman does another one of those where he just throws his arm up. I think it hits his forearm, and he tips it over the bar. And Lletget has his hands on his head. He's like, what just happened? How did that not go in? And Jake, you know that if FC Dallas scores that goal, they're putting all 11 of their Blums in the field, and they're going a back 11 or back 10 with a keeper, and they would be absolutely locked down. There'd be no chance we're scoring because we're not finishing our chances whatsoever. That was a hell of a save by Roman Berkey in the 50th minute.
It was the first of a couple. We got our own chances to start the first as well. There was one from Klaus that was followed, or at least preceded, by Celio just undressing Paul Areola. I mean, he should have walked off the pitch at that moment. So great to see Celio back on the field. Obviously, I think that was a planned sub with Ulm coming out at halftime. So great to see him kind of regain and get right into the match. And you really thought that was going to be a spark for us to at least drive home one goal. But Justin, shortly after your Berkey highlight you already mentioned, literally a minute later, he had a diving save in the bottom corner after a corner kick. And I want to call this one out because they talked about it in the broadcast too, but I agree. So the corner kick, I think it was an outswinger, and it was headed to the bottom corner. And the way that it was great pace on the header, and it bounced right before getting to Berkey's hand, who's fully outstretched in the dive. And that's a really difficult save for a goalkeeper to make, because not only do you have to get behind it to meet the pace, but you've got to kind of project in your mind and then forward that to your hand where you think that ball is going to bounce up. because it could bounce higher or lower or skip depending on how wet the pitch is. And he gets enough of a palm on this one and gets it out of danger. It was an excellent, excellent save to keep us in it.
Yeah, that save was directly. It was because of the corner from his sip save on Sebastian Lletget. So literally, the next play, he kept us in the game again, which I thought was absolutely incredible. And Jake, I think I heard something when you were saying that. Did you say the pitch? If anybody didn't get to the pitch yesterday, I don't know what you were doing, because when we had the Birds at 115, shout out SLU Women. They won the NIT final by almost 20, I believe. I think they ended up winning by 19 at SIUE. Kind of crappy that they had to go out to SIUE because Adam Wainwright was opening up for Zach Brownbane at Chaffetz, but still a great dub by the ladies. Then you had the Blues at 5 p.m., made a good comeback, but that season's over now after losing 3-2 to San Jose in overtime. Battlehawks kicked off at 7 p.m. Nice walk-off field goal. I was there for that. And then City at 7:30, obviously, what we're talking through. But all of this to say, with all of these sports games, then you add in the 2 Final Four games last night, if you weren't at the pitch, where were you? So if you haven't been to the pitch, or you had been to the pitch, get to the pitch. The weather this week is going to be absolutely incredible, and I will promise you my butt will be on one of those couches on Saturday for the Austin game. So get to the pitch.
Yeah, and we're going to need some points, more than a point against Austin. But
I'm slightly concerned, Jake, about what the betting lines are going to be, because you and I might be throwing the mortgage on us getting points in this game because of how badly we need it.
Oh my God, we're so due. Like, there's not a team that's more due right now. And I mean, you might say, oh, Dallas maybe, or someone else, but no, like this team, we're fiending for points.
And the fact that we just tied again at home, if we go on the road and have one of these ties, fine. Good 0-0, don't give up a goal. But at home, we can't do it. And you know what, Jake? We should have had another goal. We'll talk about it right here. The 67th minute, Klaus absolutely bodies that defender. That ball got crossed in from, maybe it was AZ, I believe. The defender tried to put his knees together and take it off his thigh so you could clear it. One time that dude, because then Klaus, when he takes a bad touch, Klaus comes in, shoves this guy immediately to the ground, clean, and then turns around, hits one off of the crossbar. When I was watching it, when I was streaming it, I'm like, oh, wow, Klaus just skied that all the way out, didn't even come close. No, he sent a great curler, just nicks right off top of the crossbar, keeps on going. That was an awesome chance in the 67th minute.
If that goal goes in, I wrote in here, if that goal goes in, he's back. He's winning the Golden Boot. That was the most Klaus-like opportunity to score I've ever seen. It just, when you look it up in the dictionary, a Klaus chance, it's him throwing someone into the third row and then just putting his whole foot through a ball into the back of the net, but this one hit the post and goes over. And that's the story of our night, honestly. We also had Dinner In. Come on, you already called it that sub that happened the 73rd. Dinner In and Klaus actually, I to me, gave some semblance of a partnership in this game for the first time that I've seen. I called it a highlight in the 74th minute. They combined. A Dinner In crossed into Klaus, who does well to get something on it. He ends up kind of chopping down on the ball, and the goalkeeper Pace makes a great save as it bounces and pretty much almost is bound for the upper corner. Not a lot of pace on it though. Then you see our regular weaknesses come back into play. In the 75th minute, a diagonal switch, a dangerous thing for us because diagonals and for long balls, we're not great at handling those recently, and switches make our press have to shift all the way to their side of the field. Marcinic is nowhere near Areola. He tries to close it down. Areola flashes across it to Seeley, who is, I think, their left wing back, and he misses the best chance out of both teams for that night. I think that chance was a .63 on the XG scale. We got bailed out there. If we would have lost last night, Justin, this city might be up in flames right now. I mean, just would have been so hard done.
Jake, we could have easily lost. You didn't gloss over it, but in the 70th minute, they had a goal. Thank God it was called back for offsides. It was a great flick by Gonzalez on a ball that was played in. It would remind me of a Leuven ball. God, we need Leuven back. But a ball whipped in, and we talked about this, into a defense where you're putting 10-plus dudes on the 18 running towards Berkey. Nothing Berkey could have done on this. Just a nice little flick over the top of the head. Didn't even see the goal into the side netting. They had a goal, and they celebrated. And I'm like, they celebrated for a good 30 seconds before I realized it was actually offsides. And it was clear. Once you go back and look at the replay, it was actually pretty clearly offsides. But we could have easily gone down again.
We could have. Blum tried his best to give Dallas one. He had a brutal giveaway that led to Musa, their goal scorer, their guy, with a great chance who barely missed. A bad take on his part. in the 89th minute, we're still, I do love, again, I'm going to try to highlight some of the things that I saw that were good last night from us because the result was not okay, but we fought until the very end. We had 3 maybe chances from the 89th minute on to extra time, or sorry, to added time, where we found danger. Adeniran spun his man. He played great in tight spaces last night, which I'm not used to seeing him. Spun his man, was able to split the center back and right back just with his speed and dribbling ability, and found space for a shot that he also skied over. Just we're seeing that the mental lapses in these really, really critical small moments for us. Actually, I mean, big moments for the team, but just very small time frames, like a split second. You got to decide what you're going to do with the shot. And I feel like we get caught and we end up just butchering these opportunities. And then you saw it again with Klaus a couple minutes later.
That's what I was going to say. So in the 90th +1, Klaus wins a header to Ostrak, a bouncing ball. Good first time flick into Adeniran, who's pretty wide open, to be honest. I don't really know what the defenders were doing for Dallas, but Jake, I was a little frustrated when I saw Adeniran gets in. He's 1v1 with the keeper. He still can only shoot with his left foot. I think you have to just finish with your right there. So what he does, he catches up to it, does a little half cut back with the outside of his left, and then tries to play an outside of the foot, left-footed shot to the back post. Just nearly misses it. But when you think about it, when you're playing an outside of the foot with your outside of your left foot shot, it's going to be spinning away from the goal every time. If you're going to cut back to your left, do the inside and put it in the back post, or just finish with your right. And so in that, it was the 90th +1. We should have scored there. I think Adeniran, what he needs to do is take it down, and you need to have the quality to be able to finish with your right foot there as you're going onto your right foot, because taking the time to cut it back, you almost allow the defender to then block that shot. And then if you're getting a shot off with the outside of your left, just never going in as it spins away from the goal.
Yeah, I totally agree. That you gotta, I don't care if you're professional, you've got to have some level of quality on your weaker foot to do something like that. And when it's that evident that you just need to shoot with your other foot, I know that you're not going to have as much quality on that foot. I know you're not going to have as much pace or as much precision, but you're already in tight and you're choosing to shoot with the outside of your foot, like you said, when you're already basically the only way he could have gone was wide of the goal, because he either has to bring it in towards the goalie with this outside of the foot, which now makes it an easier save, or he's going to hit it wide. And obviously we just saw him hit it wide. So that was really frustrating, but it at least showed some partnership between Klaus and Adeniran, because they played well together there to get that chance. And finally, dying minute of the game, or minutes of the game, our last opportunity came, and that was Klaus, who crossed in for Totland, who is doing a really good job on those back post headers. When he can't get it on frame, he's heading it back across goal on the back post, and it found Ostrak, who was there, with a late arrival into the box, and he just hit his shot into the side netting. I think there were some that thought that went in, but it was our last opportunity. It was a really frustrating one, because it just, for me, so many great chances last night, and we don't get to say that very often. I feel like most of what you and I say is, where's the creativity, where's the sparks? But that wasn't the problem last night. It was just the lack of the killer instinct just to put it in the back of the net.
Jake, you're gonna love this or you're gonna hate it, but I am gonna do my own little video thing real quick right here for anybody watching on YouTube. Look at this from Mr. Sam Adeniran. What are you doing shooting with your left foot here? Easily slotted home, near post, right foot. And instead, like I said, the defender almost blocks it. So I really just don't understand why he wasn't finishing there. But yeah, I agree, Jake. As you were talking about it for highlights, we had 27 shots. That has to be the most that we've ever had in a game. I'm going to have to do that stat. I'll double down on that. I'll bet on that. Betting hasn't been going well this weekend, as we talked about. But this one, I know for a fact, is a lock. 27 shots is just an absurd amount to have in a soccer game.
But only 7 on target, which just lets you know we were definitely heat checking last night. We were going for it when we had opportunities, but we said that. We said go for it when you have those. We had 2/3 of the possession, but the more meaningful thing to me, Justin, was the field tilt. So again, field tilt is possession in the other team's final third. So where you're attacking, we had 80% of that last night. That was, again, dominance personified in this team, but you've got to scrounge out a goal.
That is pure dominance by our grass dude. How do we allow the field to be tilted for our favor at home? I just don't. I will never understand that fact, Jake.
You're bringing the dad jokes along. I love it. I put the mantle down. You pick it right back up. Actually, one more highlight, Justin. I want to say I did get my tune-up schedule with the Hoffman Brothers, our 2024 presenting sponsor, and they're going to be here this Friday to check out the AC and what's been going on there before I flick this baby on for the long haul in the summer. So if you have any worries, any fears, any needs on the home services front, anything under your roof, Hoffman Brothers are the team to call, and they are local here in St. Louis. So give them a call at 314-664-3011 or visit them online at Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN Bros.com.
Jake, I'm gonna say it right now, it's gonna be a beautiful week at St. Louis. But for everybody listening, they're like, oh yeah, like my AC is working great. Don't trust that, because it's gonna be 81 on Saturday next week. And if you think that your AC is working well, give it a double check, because you do not want to be without that, as we will quickly flip into summer here in St. Louis. Call Hoffman Bros. They're your guys.
And I'm quickly flipping us into the stats. It was city red almost all across the board last night, besides some of the defensive ones, because we played a lot more offense than defense last night. But again, it's what shows up on the scoreboard that matters. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I will say, for a possession story last night, it was good to see us make something of possession. I know we didn't make the final thing of possession, but to actually make chances out of possession, I think was impressive, especially despite how Dallas was playing. Very, very shelled up, very, very conservative on the final third. And, you know, they made it really difficult. The way they played so compact. We're not the team that's, like I said, have a very good strong suit in breaking down those types of really compact defenses in the final third. But I do think we showed some of that last night. And I do think in most cases, if this is how you're going to let this team play, in terms of, you know, you're going to let us have the ball, you're going to let us, you know, find space and find our own chances. In a lot of cases, this is one of those games to me where, yes, I'm very frustrated with the result. I do think if we continue to play like this, we're going to get results. They're going to come. They just got to start coming soon, because we're going to find ourselves, you know, way down the pecking order before that actually clicks for us. So I do want to keep layering in. I did like a lot of what I saw last night. It was a lot of, if we get a goal, I think you and I are looking at this game being like, wow, great performance. We dominated, you know, front to back, got the goal, got them to the 3 points. It's a very, very positive story. But because the goal didn't come, you know, obviously a very different, you know, narrative to tell. But I think we gotta stay on the guys, because they gotta find these in these games. It's so hard. A lot of teams struggle with this, Justin. You and I watch soccer. We watched the U.S. men's national team struggle to score goals. I used to watch Arsenal struggle to score goals before this season. Yeah. And now we're in this situation where we were pumping them in last year. No problem. We always found goals. But this year, it's just not that easy. And you've got to be patient. We've got to trust that they're going to find this out. And I think you got to stick with some of the same guys that people are fresh with, like Klaus. Got to stick with him. We're not going to have a good season, in my opinion, if he's not clicking in some shape or form.
No, I absolutely agree. But unfortunately, I don't know how long we need to continue to wait for him to click. I don't know what's happening. But if you want to be that guy for us, you got to finish. I don't care if you want to say like, oh, I had one go off the crossbar, all that. You got to put it away. I don't really care. And I will say, Jake, another one has to be a record for us. 499 completed passes. There's no chance that we've ever even come close to that. 60. If you look at this and it's like, oh, 67% possession, like that's not our style. No, that was because it was pure dominance last night when in this game. We just couldn't put one away. When you look at all the stats, Jake, getting into it for the heart and soul juice player of the game last night, mine is Mr. Roman Berkey. And I think it's pretty easy for me. Just one with the number of saves. We've already talked about it. He was in like 5 of our highlights. One of the most insane stats that I'll say for this one, he had 39 touches. Do you know how much Josh Yarrow had? Josh Yarrow had 50 in the entire game. Let's remember that Roman Berkey plays most of the game with his hands. Like the fact that he is having 39 touches in the game shows that he's not only doing it, one, from the save perspective, but two, with his feet, and is able to bounce the ball in the back line for that. So Roman Berkey is my heart and soul juice player of the game. Who's yours?
I love that. And just to make mine different, because Berkey, to me, I think both of these two feel like it was a huge game for both of them. Berkey getting a clean sheet, absolutely massive. But for me, this was the coming of age game for Tomas Ostrak. I fully believe now we should not start a game without him in the 11, especially in Leuven's absence. I've now come to grips with how I try to think about Ostrak. Initially, I think he came in as a 10, and we saw him play a little deeper the last couple of games this season, really getting involved in the defensive side. He was everywhere last night. He, to me, is the closest comparison we have to Leuven when Leuven's gone. He is the closest we can get to someone that can contribute on both ends, that has a vision for goal, that has a final product in his tool set, but also can get back defensively and help pull the strings there. So last night, statistically, he had a chance created, eight passes into the final third, 2 interceptions, generated about 0.3-ish XG plus expected assists. It was stats-wise decent, but I think if you looked at that game, Justin, just on rewatch, he was everywhere. He was at the heart of almost everything we did as a team last night. And the way that his engine, he just kept going. He played the full 90. It's not often you get to say that for him either. I loved what I saw from him last night, and I would be disappointed to not see him get more and more starts given what he was able to show.
We talked about it, Jake. I mentioned it earlier. He's been the guy that has been just our utility player, a guy that can play anywhere for us and has just stepped up big. And last night, it showed on the field, on the stat sheet, anywhere you want to look. Ostrak had an incredible game last night. I completely agree with you. And the reason that we have this segment, Jake, is Soul Juice. Go to souljuice.com, use code BALLWATCHING for 20% off. They're in your local Costco, Sam's, Deerbergs, Schnucks. And as I mentioned Costco, Jake, we were texting with Luis yesterday. He's blowing up on the West Coast with all the Costco's, originally being from Los Angeles is where they were founded. But now they moved back to St. Louis. If you want to get Soul Juice at your Costco's, ask your manager when you go. Luis is asking us to ask you guys, ask to get Soul Juice in Costco. We're trying to make it as easy as possible to get this. I know we've heard from a couple of different fans and listeners that, hey, I went to my Deerbergs and my Schnucks, I couldn't find it. It's because they're selling out. I asked Luis that. He goes, dude, we're just trying to keep up with orders at this point. Like, continue to ask when you go. The only way that you're going to be able to help to find this is asking your manager at your local store, because then they're going to order more and it'll be more readily available for you. So go get your Soul Juice today. It's an incredible afternoon. Go for a walk, go for a run. Soul Juice to replenish you.
Yeah, and replenish after all of the frustrations from last night. I totally agree. Let your voice be heard, City fans and ball watchers. This is how you get more Soul Juice into the veins. The more Soul Juice you have, I think the more likelihood we have a chance of winning. I don't know if that's been totally scientifically proven yet, but there could be a slight correlation.
It's a heavy correlation. I crunched the numbers, Jake. It's just a fact. So, like, if everybody that listens drinks the Soul Juice, we will win the game on Saturday, 125-2.
You heard it here first, folks. Now you have some homework heading out from this one. We were able to save some time, Justin, today because we couldn't even do goal vision because there was a lack of.
We did goal vision.
You did.
I did goal vision. If anybody did almost on YouTube, go back and rewind and watch me sitting in front of my TV showing you how Mr. Sam Adinran needs to learn how to shoot with his off foot.
The lack of goal vision. We did a little segment this one, but. Predictions, Grahammers, Justin, you already alluded to betting. It was a rough day for both of us. I bet the spread -1.5. That didn't cash. You bet the money line and team total over 1.5. Obviously, those didn't cash either. We both predicted dubs. I predicted 3-0. You predicted 2-0. No and no. Not one person. We did a giveaway for a $50 gift card to the pitch yesterday for all of our Instagram and X users, and not one person on either platform of the probably 100+ entries we got, Justin, guessed 0. So we'll be bringing it back in the preview and having you all compete that way, because we're not just going to give this out. You got to earn these gift cards to the pitch, because these take you quite a long way.
I mean, Jake, to be honest, I'm glad that no one guessed 0. That would have been pretty rude.
That's true. That's true.
I don't even know if I would want to give it to the person that would have guessed that we scored 0 goals at home, because we've been hitting at 65% clip. We talked about this with Nate Lucas on Fridays on the verdict. I don't know how we don't score goals, but we're still not doing it. Sorry, I was trying to look up lines for next week, but they're not up yet to look into the betting side of things. I probably need to take a break anyways, but tough day.
It was tough. But again, we find ourselves back at home next weekend against a familiar opponent in Austin. Obviously, this fixture has always seen fireworks for us. We just drew them in Austin a couple weeks ago now. It's a perfect opportunity, in my opinion, again, to go out and grab 3 points. I said it last week. I said it on the preview about Dallas. I'm doubling down on it for this week already for Austin. This is one I just feel like it's like a volcano. We're just waiting to erupt. These goals are going to come. I promise. We just got to be patient, and we've got to just keep it up. If you put this performance on against Austin that you did against Dallas last night, you're going to get a W. It's going to flow. You've just got to keep maintaining, keep persisting. Fans, stay behind the team. It's hard, I know, but you've got to be behind them because they got to be behind themselves and having confidence heading into this one.
Guys, is a tough one for us to do a recap for because obviously there was a ton of highlights, but not a lot of actual goals. Get ready for the preview for Austin. Last year, we had a first ever game. We won 3-2. There's 5 goals. Then we came back at home and won 6-3. There's another 9. There's 14. Earlier this season, we were down in Austin, tied them 2-2. There have been 18 goals in 3 games against Austin. We're coming back. City Park's going to be popping. It's 81 degrees as a high on Saturday. It's going to be flowing. Maybe my biggest bet of my life will be on City to score 2 goals at home next Saturday. We're going to get the job done.
Yeah, we're going to right the ship. Everyone have faith in this team. We'll get there. I'm telling you, we're going to get there. It's been a grueling start to the season, but we're in it when we need 3 points, and Austin is the perfect team to welcome into town to do so. So everyone, hopefully you have a great rest of your Sunday. You recover from a long St. Louis Equinox Sports Weekend ahead of the lunar eclipse. If you're catching that this week, everyone enjoy that. And we have a Sunday match against Austin, a little bit of a day game. It'll be fun. I know we've already said Saturday, but we were misspoken. It is Sunday, a first of day games for us this year. And I know actually there's not many, if maybe 1 or 2 after that. So I'm going to enjoy a little Sunday fun day and have City get 3 points under the belt.
Yeah, that's even better. I appreciate Jonathan and a tricky 993 letting us know that in the comments. That's even better. I had plenty of plans to do things on Saturday. Jake, we're going to be, and we'll talk about it in the preview too, we're going to be in the Bags tournament with the City refs on Saturday anyways at 10 a.m. So we have a home game on Sunday. We might see Tim Parker there. If you guys haven't signed up for that, go look at it. I don't know if they're still accepting signups, but if you can't sign up, come to Forehands at, I think it's 10 a.m. next Saturday. We'll be doing a cornhole tournament. You can hang out with us and all the other different groups that support City.
Absolutely. All right, Justin. Well, thank you for joining today. Everyone, thank you for listening. Definitely, if you all liking what you're hearing, throw us a rating, throw us a review on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. And on YouTube, throw us a like on the video. That's what helps us get out to more and more fans just like you all to get to know this team better and get to understand our results better. And quite frankly, just deal with some of the grief that we have to deal with as fans here with what we've seen recently. But we're here to process it for you. We're your therapists. Hop in the chair and hop on board. It's going to be a nice week, a run-in into the Austin match. Everyone take care, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday for a full preview. All for City.
All for City.